Pirate Yakuza is a pretty cool game, but has one pretty big flaw. It has an absolutely throwaway story, so what I'm gonna do is try and rectify this situation. The main issue is that the game has a bunch of plot points, but the characters lack any real motivation to either pursue these plot points other than, well, because it's important or someone told me to. I'm gonna give these characters a reason to move through this big pirate escapade and add some stakes by giving us actual character development. No, ending the game by telling us this is why having an adventure is awesome and makes for a great story to tell your friends isn't good enough for me. Let's start with a minor recap of what's going on before I introduce the bigger changes to the narrative that will tie together to make a critical tale for two of our star characters. Because, let's be honest, the story is definitely lacking in having our characters reflect and grow as individuals. Majima is stranded on an island with no memories, just desperate for the water little Noah has in his hands. Noah fills him in that it's an island near Hawaii called Rich Island, named after his grandfather. Even though he has no idea who he was before his amnesia, I'm going to interject and make it feel like he's kind of reborn here. What's gone are memories he wanted to forget. Oh, also, there's a tiger, but it's just Noah's pet. But the strange part isn't that Noah has a pet tiger. It's the fact that the tiger's name is Goro, kind of like Majima's. But there's no big reason for it other than Noah thinking he kind of looks like a Goro. It would be cool if his father had told him there was once a man as feared as a tiger named Goro from his past or something. That while he's never met the man, his legend made it so he'll never forget that name. Let's add that part of the reason he had to give up being a treasure hunter is because of how Goro's meddling messed up the life he used to cherish. From the start of the game, we can see Noah sick and needs an inhaler to breathe properly. He's slapped around by the pirate Keith and his gang for trying to lie that Majima is his uncle so they won't hurt him. Even without his memories, Majima's body reacts to Noah's beating to save him. He has flashes of his past as they trade blows, letting Noah know that he's probably not such a great person before the memory loss. But Noah simply thinks he's cool for defending him, so they make their escape before more of these a-holes can bother them. Noah's dad, Jason, used to be a treasure hunter, but he had to retire to take care of Noah. Noah wants to leave this island and finally experience what it's like to have an adventure. He's inspired by a story from his grandpa about encountering a giant squid. Gramps gave him a barb pendant as a memento, but his dad is sort of a helicopter parent and won't let him do anything that won't harm his health. Leaving Rich Island is off limits since this is the only place with clean enough air for him to live. When Keith and his band of pirates attack this little bar, Majima helps him out, but still, Noah's father threatens him not to stay around him. He'll bring nothing but trouble. It's because he's a Yakuza, going off the tattoo on his body. It would be cool if we could add that Majima's demeanor resembled the same Goro of his past and is having trouble trusting him because of that. It would give us higher stakes if these two possible enemies needed to learn to work together. Later, we bump into the masterful chef, Masaru. Masaru's a good guy. When he's beaten by Majima and Captain Jack gets a surprise on him, putting a knife to Noah's neck until blood runs down his neck, Masaru decides to betray him. Even a pirate like him has a soft spot for others. When they're all reunited, we learn that Masaru and Jason were treasure hunters back in the day. Together with their crew, they were a force to be reckoned with. He informs Majima that Jason wants the Esperanza treasure because it's said to contain an elixir of eternal life, hoping that it can cure Noah. But with losing his ship, his crew dying, and needing to make sure Noah was going to live, he had to abandon his dreams of being a treasure hunter. It's much too dangerous out there for him to leave Noah all by himself. Majima tries to convince him it's okay to let Noah live a little, the only way these Japanese heroic stories know how. By beating each other up, of course. Just to have him on his bum with a lecture that he's setting his son up for a life with no meaning behind it. Dreams take risk, and he's robbing his son of that lesson by keeping him cooped up on his dad's island. When he agrees to go along to give Noah an adventure to grow into a great man, he suggests to his daughter to shut down their bar as he won't be there to take care of it, not even considering she could take care of the business all by herself. You can tell Jason has trouble trusting other people. He has no faith in either one of his kids to be able to take care of themselves. He has to learn to have a little faith. And that's what I want to emphasize on my changes. When Majima makes it to Madlantis, the underworld for pirates, he runs into Jason's other daughter, Naomi, Apparently she's estranged from him due to needing to stay in Hawaii for school, as Jason took Noah to someplace cleaner to live. Eventually she runs off into being part of the Yakuza life, but as a pirate instead. I don't exactly remember why, but it would be nice if she was inspired by the stories of her father's treasure hunting days, but with his helicopter parenting getting on her nerves, she needed to be as far away from him as possible, so she can just breathe a little. And that's what the crew she's with could give her, trust. She's a loyal follower to the Queen of Madlantis, Michelle, alongside the all-powerful King, Raymond Law, and his right-hand man, Mortimer, the man who betrayed Jason and ruined his treasure hunting career. Honestly, it kinda sucks Jason and his wife are shown for exactly one scene. Yeah, a major character like him only having a few words of dialogue with his wife kinda stinks. Most of their conversation happens off screen too. So going back to my earlier idea of Jason not being able to trust people, we could have that be a major breaking point for their marriage and why she decided to stay so far away from him this entire time. If he can't trust her, how can she trust him? Since Jason is taking a huge gamble by trusting Majima with Noah's life, this adventure could be a growing point for Jason to learn how to believe in the people around him. Eventually, Majima's longtime Kyodai enters the scene. It's none other than Taiga Saejima. He's here to convince Majima to follow through with his Yakuza commitments by going back to Japan and cleaning up the mess that the Yakuza disillusionment project brought about. This could be another great revelation for Jason. Watching the two Kyodais bickering it out, smacking each other in the face, and still getting along well enough for Saejima to trust in Majima that he knows what he's doing and lets him do his own thing. This could be exactly what he needs to consider, that maybe he needn't be afraid of conflict when it comes to putting his trust in other people. That butting heads doesn't mean you don't believe in each other. Sometimes conflict gives people the opportunity to build trust. Jason lets Majima know Masaru might be a double agent as he saw him with Mortimer's crew, probably trying to get the bounty off of Majima's head. And what reason would Masaru have for betraying them? Well, he can never have enough money and will do anything for more, so he wants him off their crew. This would be a great chance to give Jason the conclusion to his arc. Back in their heyday, Jason considered Masaru like his little brother when they went off searching for treasure. To say this isn't a personal event for the both of them would be silly. Beating down Masaru and butting heads so he can take a chance at reaffirming the trust established with him being a longtime crewmate makes for great drama. At least to me, it's an opportunity to work through his suspicions, not alone like how he's comfortable with, but with another person where he's afraid of being betrayed. It's what someone who wants to make all the decisions all by themselves wants to do. This would be his chance to learn to talk and cooperate with others and learn to risk trusting in the judgment of someone other than his own. Masaru is in communication with Mortimer. He was asked to sabotage Majima's ship before their battle so he can win. Not only that, but this isn't the first time he was part of a bad scheme. Raymond had also bribed Masaru to sabotage Jason's ship back in the day. Mortimer used that footage of Masaru taking the bribe money and used it as leverage to get him to betray his current crew. He knew no one on the ship could trust him with evidence like that, but even though he was bribed, here is where Jason's judgment is wrong. Masaru does care about something more than money. It's his crewmates. He didn't go through with the original deal with Raymond all those years ago, and he's not going to go through to help out the guy who betrayed them back then either. Mortimer. He was talking with Mortimer's men to tell them to shove it. A great way to end Jason's arc is for him to be able to give people who've earned his trust the benefit of the doubt, wouldn't you say?
Jason, 7年前のことを許してくれとは言いません。でもこの先、いつかあんたが許せるような男に俺はなるつもりです。だからもう少し一緒にいさせてもらえませんか。せめてエスペランサの分け前にありつけるまで。なんで最後に余計なこと言うんだい。
それが勝るらしいってことじゃん。
言って。
I think one of the worst sins this game commits is when they confront Mortimer on why he betrayed Jason and the crew, and all he has to say is, I mean, what a load of baloney. His motivation for taking Raymond's bribe can revolve around what he thinks makes an ideal pirate. Let's see, maybe growing up around scum like pirates showed him getting your hands dirty is just part of the gig, that there's no other way to get his name respected by everyone if he didn't break the trust of a few people on his way to the top. The opposite of what we're trying to teach Jason here. Anything but, I don't remember. With the lesson learned from putting his faith in Masaru, we can have Jason apologize to Naomi for pushing her away and promising to be a father who trusts his family to do right by themselves without his meddling. Obviously, an abrupt apology like that isn't going to convince her just yet, so she goes back to help the queen as per the canon events. Honestly, everything else can unfold as normal. Naomi goes off to fight alongside the queen against Majima and crew to secure the treasure. Raymond betrays the queen to take over Madlantis and have the treasure all for himself, and Naomi joining Majima to take down Raymond after the hurt he's caused both the queen and her family. Even when Majima confronts Raymond, he brings up the fact that he's only this powerful due to playing dirty, a motivation I was trying to give to Mortimer so he has some reason for being an a-hole. Have him take inspiration to be the next Raymond, or believing he has to surpass him by needing to be even dirtier. Anyways, there is one final change I'd like to make, and it's having Majima be an actual integral part of this plot. As Majima and crew run into the giant squid, let's have Majima be panicked, as if his mind doesn't remember the beast, but his body does. As you fight the giant monster, he can slowly remember the memories he wanted to forget. He'll have flashbacks that are driving him mad, like there's something about Hawaii from his past he wants to forget, a flashback to a young Majima. An infiltration in Hawaii to steal a pirate ship that held a buttload of riches. But what he didn't know about were the dangerous chemicals on the ship. On his ride back, while contemplating what to do with the chemicals, he runs into the giant squid which attacks him and knocks over the chemicals, polluting the water and air with said chemicals. He was hit so hard in the head he lost all memories of said squid. All the money he stole and the chemicals on the ship were knocked overboard. He heard on the news that the chemicals polluted the area, and one of the pirates he attacked said it was due to a solo crazy maniac named Goro. He was as fierce as a tiger. Hearing of the danger he caused the people near where all this happened, the stress knocked him out cold and he wouldn't be able to regain consciousness until he repressed the memories that shocked his system. We can have Jason and his wife be near the area where the chemicals washed ashore while she was close to needing to give birth to Noah. The hospital can be tainted by the spill, making everyone born around this time sickly. This makes Noah's sickness all Majima's fault, and by the end of your boss fight against the giant squid, he remembers his second encounter with the squid that starts the events of this game, that his memories returned at the sight of it. His thirst for revenge pressured him to try and take down the squid lest the trauma re-enters his body. As the squid wins the fight, Majima's memories on who he is loses. When she wins this boss battle, Majima remembers all of this. He confides in Masaru that the reason Noah is ill is because of his greed for money back in the day. Before he joined the Yakuza, he had no money but needed a way to stay afloat financially. And Masaru can comment, was money worth ruining the kid's life? It isn't until they found the treasure and Noah shares how proud he is to have run into the giant squid his grandfather encountered that he reveals to Noah the truth of it all. That it was his greed that got him sick. Not only that, but it was his greed that gave him the guilt that caused him to want to lose those awful memories. But just because things didn't pan out the way he wanted, it's no excuse for giving up on your dreams. They're important to have, and while money is valuable, and it's often needed to have your dreams succeed, the people you bond with along the way are even more important. And maybe, if he had a crew during his original pirate invasion, maybe he could have avoided the giant squid that knocked the pollution in the water. Or, better yet, take it down before it could grab the chemicals and his riches. But what he does want Noah to learn from all this for sure is, he wouldn't have been able to do all this without his crew by his side.
本物や。あんたも人の話聞かねえっちゃの。親父は何も嘘言うとらんのや。じゃあ、巨大イカも本当かよ。